In the endless golden plains of the Masai Mara, under a sun that burned hot and high, a cub was born into the safety of a well-established pride. His name was Kali, born in the late 1990s. He was one among several cubs, yet something about him was different. From the beginning, he showed strength beyond his size, a spark behind his eyes, determination in the way he fought and played. His father was a dark-maned giant, a dominant male whose roar echoed for miles and whose scent marked a kingdom fiercely defended. Under his rule, the pride thrived. The lionesses hunted with lethal precision, and the cubs grew strong under their guidance. Kali learned quickly how to stalk, how to pounce, when to submit, and when to challenge. He watched the adults closely, soaking in the rhythms of pride life. But even in this structured world, danger was never far. Hyenas skulked on the outskirts. Rogue males lurked beyond the boundaries, seeking to dethrone the kings and destroy their cubs. Kali was safe for now. Beneath the comfort of his family, the seeds of future trials lay hidden. And though he didn't know it, the life he knew would soon be torn away. As Kali grew into his third year, his body thickened with muscle, and his confidence became harder to ignore. No longer a cub, he began to carry himself with the quiet pride of a lion becoming a male, but within the pride, this transformation was not welcomed. The dominant males, his father and uncle, sensed the change. What had once been tolerated now became threatening. Growls replaced glances. Swipes of the paw, once playful, now drew blood. The message was clear. The pride had no place for rising males. Kali was driven out, cast into exile by those who once protected him. The safety of his birthplace faded behind him as he stepped into the vast unknown, alone and uncertain. The rules had changed. There was no pride to shield him now, no familiar ground beneath his paws. The call had come not with words, but with claws. His true journey had begun. Alone for the first time, Kali wandered the savanna like a ghost. The open plains that once offered freedom now felt endless and empty. He was strong, but inexperienced. Each night brought new threats, hyenas cackling. In the dark, the distant roars of other males warning him to stay away. He hunted poorly, often going hungry. He avoided confrontation, hiding in the brush, moving at the edge of territories not his own. The wilderness had no mercy for the young. And uncertain, doubt crept in. He questioned whether he could survive without the pride. Strength alone would not be enough. In the midst of hunger and silence, Kali crossed paths with another outcast, an older, battle-scarred male known only as light male. He had the look of one who had seen many dry seasons, his fur marked by time. His gaze sharp and unflinching. There was no welcome, no warmth, only mutual understanding. Two lions with nothing left to lose, against instinct, they chose not to fight. They walked together, not as friends, but as survivors. From light male, Kali learned patience. How to stalk prey without wasting strength. How to move through another lion's land without being seen. How to wait, truly wait for the right moment. Light male had survived alone for longer than most. His lessons were not spoken, but lived. Kali studied his every move. With each shared hunt, each silent patrol beneath the stars, Kali grew not only stronger, but wiser. His exile had found its purpose. His mentor had arrived. Time passed. The bond between Kali and light male deepened not through affection, but through shared hunger, close calls, and the quiet code of warriors. Then came the scent of weakness. A nearby pride, the March Pride was faltering. Its ruling males were old, their dominance crumbling. The lionesses hunted restlessly. The territory's borders went unploughed. This was the moment Light Male had taught Kali to wait for. Together, they stalked the fading kingdom from the shadows. No longer wanderers, they became predators of power. For the first time, Kali stepped not to survive, but to conquer. The threshold was behind him now, under the cloak of night. Kali and Light Male advanced into the heart of the March Pride's territory. The sense of the old kings lingered, but their presence was weak. No warning roars, no patrols, just silence. When the attack came, it was swift and brutal. The older males resisted with all the fury their fading strength allowed, but time had stolen their edge. Claws tore into flesh. Roars shattered the stillness. Kali fought with the fire of youth, driving one male into retreat. Light Male brought down the other, relentless and precise. By dawn, March Pride had changed hands. If you're enjoying the story, hit the like button and leave a comment sharing what has impressed you the most so far. Your support helps this content reach more people who love wildlife. But victory came with blood. The first duty of the new rulers was unforgiving, the cubs sired by the fallen kings. It was nature's law, cruel but necessary. Ensuring only their bloodline would carry forward. The lionesses, wary at first, soon accepted the new order. They had seen this before. Power passed like seasons. Kali was no longer in exile. He was a king. But with the crown came new trials. Rival males circled the borders. Hyena clans watched from the shadows. Power was never permanent in the Mara. Battles had just begun, and Kali's reign would be tested from the start. For months. Kali and Light Male ruled the March Pride with strength and vigilance. They defended their territory, sired new cubs, and kept challengers at bay. But the calm was temporary. Whispers of a new threat grew louder. A coalition of 3 young, powerful males began encroaching on their land, bold, relentless, and hungry. For power. Their roars shook the night, testing the strength of Kali's reign. Then came the attack. The battle was chaos, blood and fury beneath a darkening sky. Outnumbered, Kali and Light Male fought side by side, but even courage had. Limits, Light Male fell. Overwhelmed, torn by wounds, he was silenced forever. Kali watched his only ally disappear into the earth with no choice. He fled not from cowardice, but from the instinct to survive and fight again. He had lost his kingdom. He had lost his brother in arms. Alone once more, Kali vanished into exile, exiled. Once again, Kali became a shadow drifting across the savanna. He had known exile before, but this time it cut deeper. He had tasted power, ruled as a king, and lost everything. His body bore fresh wounds, but the ones inside ran deeper emptiness, failure, and the bitter silence of solitude. Days blurred into weeks. Prey was scarce. Dominant males roared in every direction, reminding him he no longer belonged anywhere. But fate had not abandoned him. In the dust and grass, he found them 5 young males, lean and fierce. They watched him warily at first, but there was recognition in their eyes. They were his sons, survivors of the March Pride's collapse, scattered and hardened by the wild, together. They formed a coalition unlike anything the Mara had ever seen. A father and his sons bound not only by blood but by shared exile, shared fire, where alone he had been vulnerable. Together they were a storm. The wild did not yet know it, but a legend was returning. Kali, once a fallen king, now stood as the leader of something greater than himself. The exile had ended. The dynasty was about to begin. With his 5 sons at his side, Kali moved with the precision of a general and the power of a god. Pride fell before them, the Paradise Pride, the Serena Pride, Bugara, and more. No coalition could withstand their unity. No rival male could match their coordination. His name changed. It was no longer Kali, the exiled son. It became Nach, the father of kings, the ruler of rulers. Their territory stretched beyond 1,000 square kilometers. Guides whispered his name with awe. Tourists glimpsed him and could only stare. His blackened mane, now streaked with age, flowed like a crown forged by fire and loss. But his true reward was not land or fear, it was legacy. Cubs carrying his bloodline spread across the savanna. Lionesses submitted, rivals vanished. Nach had built more than an empire. He had built a dynasty in a land ruled by violence and dust. He had become eternal. Years passed, and the Mara whispered with the echoes of Nach's reign. But time, as it always does, began to erode even the mightiest. Nach's powerful stride slowed. His muscles, once hardened by endless battles, softened beneath a coat now streaked with gray. His roars, once thunder across the plains, faded into hoarse reminders of a fading era. And yet, he remained. Unlike other aging males cast out by younger rivals, Nach was never abandoned. His sons protected him, fed him, stood beside him as he patrolled less and rested more. His authority no longer came from dominance, but from reverence. He had earned his place through fire and sacrifice, and his coalition never forgot. As the sun set on his body, it rose over his name. Nach no longer fought, but he no longer needed to. He had become something greater than a king. He had become a legend walking. When Nach died in 2013, the savanna held its breath. One by one, his sons fell in the years that followed, a warrior, each carrying a fragment of his legacy. Only one remained, Nach II, the strongest. The one who had always walked closest to his father's side. For a time he vanished, and many believed the legacy had ended. But then he returned, not alone, but with his own son by his side. The cycle had begun again. Father and son, echoes of the legend before them, walked the same path. Nach's blood still moved through the land, resurrected in the next generation. If the story of Nach moved you, let us know in the comments. What does his legacy mean to you? Subscribe to the channel to follow more true legends of the wild stories of survival, strength, and legacy that deserve to be remembered. Because in the heart of every roar, a legend lives on.